Good morning.
Sadie Miller.
Go to Sadie Miller.
Sadie Miller.
E. Miller.
Look at that time.
Lady that got a big check in Eagle, Idaho.
They might be one of the best first barrels we've seen.
Wow, a 14 and 9:53. You step aside. There's a new queen in the lead.
Nice ride, Sadie.
I better move her to number 2.
I want you to watch Sadie Miller.
You up and around? Have I up and around? Good morning. Good morning to him too. Once I've said good morning to Zorro and Chester, I'm going to grab Chester's blanket off super quick so I can get his door open. And pulled his halter off. I thought I was just doing the lead right. You will notice some electrical tape out here in Chester's pasture. That is because we've cut down the pasture size quite a bit because he has been kind of on stall rest. It's gotten a lot less strict, but he has been on stall rest for a front strain suspensory. We don't know how he did it, where he did it, or what even happened, but he has recovered really nicely and just got completely cleared by the vet, which has been awesome. So there he is out in his little modified turnout. Good morning. You go outside. Chester enjoying the sun. Now it's time to get Zorro's blanket off. It was heating up, and I also just do not turn out in blankets unless I have to. Usually when I see a horse hung up in a blanket, they were turned out in it. I'm not saying not to ever do that, but this is just my personal preference. So I'm going to pull that over his head, and we're going to get him out in the pasture so he can go run around and graze for a while. The grass is pretty dead, but they still like to pick at it. So I'm going to throw his cute little halter on and get him out there. It's a really easy walk from his stall out to this back pasture here, and of course he is disgusting. I really need to groom him very, very soon. I promise I will, but he just goes out here, and every time he rolls twice. He does it every single time you turn him out. Super cute. It's his routine, so he's definitely going to do that here. He ran a lot the day before, so I think that's why he didn't quite take off with as much energy today, because I turned him out yesterday and he was running and bucking and everything. Super cute. So he was a little more tired today. He is 23 years old, so he's a little older. There he is doing his everyday pasture routine. Okay, I have all of my tack inside. I have to haul it over here. So I've got all my tack ready. We're going to go grab Chester so we can saddle him up and take him for a ride. He was completely cleared by the vet, so today I think after my ride, when he's a little tired, hopefully we will pull up the stakes of his little electric pen and let him out. The vet said just not to. Hopefully, whenever he goes out, he doesn't, run around like a fool and hurt himself again. So I'm trying to ride him before he goes out. That way he's a little tired, the edge is taking off a little bit. Because he has been on stall rest for a long time. He has his little pen, but that's just not the same. And he has a giant stall, but again, still not the same. So we're going to get him ridden and then hopefully get him out in his big pasture. Now that we have Chester in the wash rack, the first thing we are going to do is pick all of his feet. So I'm going to ask him ever so kindly to pick his feet up, and we are going to get everything out of there. I'm looking to make sure there's no rocks, that his hoofs look like they always do. Very important to know what your horse's legs and feet always look like, so you know when something is different. So I'm going to get everything out of there. There was a lot of dirt packed in there. I just want to make sure they're very clean before we go for a ride. So I'm going to do this on all 4 feet, and then we are going to start brushing him. Now that those hoofs are clean, I'm going to start brushing him. I'm going to start off with my little rubber curry because he decided that he was going to start shedding. So he's losing quite a bit of hair. He hates the Slick Easy. He really does not like the curry either. And I can go as far to say that he does not like any brush, actually. So this is the most gentle one for him, and it helps get that hair off. It's actually doing really good to get that dust off. You can see he's really dusty here. So it just pulls off some of that hair he's decided to shed. Once I'm done with this brush, I just go over everything with a normal hard brush, making sure I get that dust off and anything off where the saddle goes. I am kind of guilty of not brushing his whole body before I ride if it's just a little ride, so I'm mostly just brushing where the tack goes. And of course, I don't forget to brush under his stomach where those cinches are going to go. I just want to make sure everything is clean and comfortable for him before I hop on. Now that I feel like I have brushed him enough and he's clean enough for his tack, I'm going to throw on my saddle pad. Someone commented asking me what my saddle pad was. It is a 5-star, and out of all the ones I've tried, that is my favorite. I'm not sponsored by 5-star, but it is a saddle pad that I recommend, and they're pretty customizable on their website, and you can order a bunch that there are already made. So there's a lot of good options there. Once my saddle is situated like I like, and I've tinted my saddle pad up on his withers, I'm going to do my cinches, and I'm not going to make them super tight right now because we're going to tighten them right before we get on. But now that the cinches are done and the saddle is in place, we are going to do my breast collar. I never do my breast collar before I do my cinches, just in case he shakes or knocks that saddle off. It's not connected to his body, so if the cinches are done up, he can't shake the saddle off. But if the cinches are not done up and the breast collar is, he can shake that saddle off, but it'll still be stuck around his neck and cause all kinds of trouble there, so I don't do that. Now, I do like to give him a omeprazole before I ride. I forgot. Normally, I would do this before it tacked up, but I forgot. So we're going to give it to him now. I don't do this all the time. I just do this because he has been on stall rest, and that's been kind of stressful for him. Now I'm going to get my helmet on, and I'm going to get my riding boots on because I've had my muck boots on this whole time, and we are almost ready to ride. Now it's time for us to hop on, and yes, I did have treats in my jacket pocket, so that's what he is looking for there, trying to steal from me. Here's where I'm going to tighten those cinches since I didn't tighten them earlier in the wash rack. Sometimes your horse will blow some air out of their stomach and suddenly become a little skinnier before you get on, so I always like to check my cinches so I don't slide right off. Now we are ready to walk for a good while, especially because he has been off and we're kind of rehabbing him. He was completely cleared by the vet, so I'm able to leg him up how I normally would. I have been, walking, straight line trotting. I just didn't vlog any of that in case anything were to happen, but now we are cleared. We got the good ultrasound, so we're ready to go, but I'm still going to walk for about 10 or 15 minutes, kind of just switching the direction, making sure he walked really good both ways for about 15 minutes total. When I was done walking, I'm going to ask him for a trot, and I always do a sitting trot on him, so that's what we're doing here. I just kind of keep my hand loose there, just see if he'll relax into it. There I go to 2 hands, just very gently kind of asking him to slow down a little bit and put his head down a little bit. So we're going to be working on that through the whole time of me trotting, and I set an 11-minute timer, so we're going to trot that whole time, and I'm going to switch the direction back and forth during that while I wait for the timer to go off. Also, I know it's super dusty in here. I hate it. If you water this arena though, it can get slick, and I didn't want to slip in here either. So that is why it's dusty. Definitely not ideal, but it is what we are working with. We try to move the camera around to get you a better view every so often, but that's why we kind of disappear off into the distance. My apologies. It's not normally this dusty, but it definitely was this day. So we're going to trot around. I'm going to gently ask for him to put his head down a little bit, ask him to keep that nice slow speed. He really did very good. I was very proud of him. He never really tried to take off on me. He can do that sometimes. That's just him. But here he looks really pretty, and he comes down into a really nice trot. Once my iPhone timer goes off, I'm going to let him walk a few laps, catch his breath after doing all that trotting before I ask him for a lope. And just like how Chester always is, he does start the lope off a little quick, but he works down into a nice, pretty lope. He's the same way in the lope as he is in the trot. I kind of want his head down. I want him a little more collected and a little slower. This is just because he's a little hotter, and he does ride around this way, so that's just how we ride. I'm going to ask him again to just kind of keep his head down and keep at a really nice speed here. He slows down even more, but I was honestly really happy with this right here. He did it really, really well. We have not been doing a ton of just full rides. Like I said, I did a lot of walking, straight line walking, a lot of straight line trotting, working up to this. So he's getting back into his normal riding routine now that he's been cleared. So we're going to lope around like this for a while. I think I did about 4 or 5 minutes here to the left, and then I'll do the same thing I just did. Let him walk a minute, let him have a breather, really pet on him, and you will see when I walk him, especially after I've loped, he will break into a nice, very slow, polite trot. That's just how he is again. So you'll see that every once in a while. I try to pretend like he didn't do it. I don't snatch on him or anything, and normally he'll just go right back into that walk. Now we're going to go to the right, and always the second direction he is hotter. That happens every time I ride him, so I have to ride him a little bit more to the right, and I don't mean I ride him down. I don't make him tired to the right. We just have to kind of work with him a little bit more and just ask a little bit more for that speed reduction and for his head to be down. But he came into a really, really nice lope to the right here as well, and once he is done loping this way, he is done. Once we were done loping, I walked him out, and when I was done doing that, I really pet on him and told him he did really good before I hopped off, and I will loosen my cinches right here before I walk him back to the wash track. And I'm going to give him a treat because he did it so good, and really pet on him and remind him of that. I'm going to grab all my tack off, and just like the opposite of what I did earlier, I am going to take the breast collar off before I take these cinches off for the same exact reason. So I'm going to do my back cinch off, and then I'm going to get my front cinch after that. Throw all of that over the saddle and pull it off. Still really petting on him, telling him he did great because he did. Once I have all that tack off, we're going to get him out to his bigger pasture.
Great.
This is going to be the first time he's been able to go out without electric tape. So I've made him a small pasture normally up there kind of in the front. And now he has this whole turnout. So he's going to go really slow to make sure he doesn't run into any invisible electric tape. And just sniff around and graze. I was really happy to get him out. I was so happy for him. I know he enjoyed it. So he's able to go out for a long time out here. Really stretch out, look around, and graze on what grass grew, because he did have that small pen, so it let the pasture kind of grow some more grass while he was in his little stall rest. So I think he was super excited to get out. Now that Chester has been ridden and he's out in his pasture, we are going to go to the barn where Dakota and Kite are. There they are out in their big turnouts. I'm going to go grab Dakota so he can do his last Alpha 2 breathing treatment out of my nebulizer, which is super exciting. This will be his 6th treatment, and we are done with it after this, which is super awesome. He did not come up to me, so I had to walk all the way down to the back of the pasture to get him, and we're going to take him up to my little horse trailer that I have parked here to tie him up for a minute while I get that nebulizer ready. Don't worry, I did unplug that extension cord before I walked him over it. I do not like to walk any horses over extension cords, but especially not ones that have shoes on. So I did unplug that before I walked him over. And I just kind of pet on him while I'm walking him up here, kind of see how he's doing, how he's feeling. When I tie my horses up, I always do a little safety daisy chain. That way it's a safety release and I can just pull on it and it will become completely undone. But Dakota does know how to untie one of those. So does Chester. So I always kind of loop the end back in where I can still get it to a quick release, but it's a lot harder for them to get it undone. Now I'm going to get the nebulizer ready. In that medicine cup, I'm going to put my Alpha 2 that we got from my vet visit video, if you want to go watch that. And then I'm going to use 3 of saline to kind of dilute that and get that shut up in there before I get on him. And I'm going to put it on the 2nd setting of my nebulizer, so it's not the slowest, but it's not the fastest either. Once I have it on him, we are going to walk him around. It's recommended that you walk around while doing this breathing treatment. I kind of wipe his nose off because he had a little bit of stuff in there. So I'm going to wipe that off before I get it on him. I'm going to try to fit it to his face. They're so big, so I have to put like my elbow under the nebulizer while I pull the adjustment thing. There I am turning the nebulizer on, and we are going to go walk him around, and you'll see him spook at a very scary hay bale in just a second. That treatment does take quite a while, so I walk him around a long time, and when it's done, I'm going to pull that nebulizer off of him and get him back to the trailer because his braids are horrible. If you could not tell, they've been in a minute, and I'm going to redo them. So I'm going to take off all my little elastics here and get all of those braids out so I can see his hair. And once I get that done, I'm going to brush them with a wet brush. It's been really sad that I have not been able to wash it at all because it is too cold here. So I have just been having to take his braids out, brush them, and re-braid them. Makes my hands nasty, but I cannot wait for the day that I can wash it again. I spray it with some detangler and then brush it out with my wet brush because the wet brush is really gentle on his hair. Does not pull out as much as a normal mane and tail brush would. I have really bad experiences with all the normal mane and tail brushes, and now I'm going to grab out my elastics and wrap them around my fingers here. You cannot forget them on your fingers or you will lose your circulation. Oh my god. We are just going to do some bigger braids today, like the ones he just had in his hair, just super quick and easy. I'm not going to stress over doing a bunch of little braids today, especially since we don't have a rodeo for a little while. Just normal 3-strand braids. Going to braid them down a little ways before putting on my elastic. You could also use some electrical tape here. I'm just not very good at that. Some people swear by it. I just use the elastics because that's what I'm good at. So I am going to braid all of his mane into these nice little braids here, and it's going to look much better than it did a minute ago. Now that his hair is all braided again, I'm going to give him a treat. I'd say I'm giving it to him because he stood so good, but in reality, I would have given it to him anyway. So I'm going to give him a treat and pet on him and tell him he did good before I'm going to untie him, and we're going to get him back into his pasture. When we get him back down there, we did already fill up his little hay bag, so you'll see he's going to go right to that. We're keeping alfalfa in front of him 24/7, so he never runs out of it. So we already got that hay bag full. We're going to get him out here, and then I'm going to drive even more alfalfa down here so he can have some on the ground as well. And here he tried to eat the ice that we had thrown out from a water bucket, which was so funny to me. He's really been enjoying the ice. He has water. I swear he just really likes to eat the ice. So here he is going straight to his hay bag. Like I said, he pretty much only eats alfalfa. That's the only forage he gets. Occasionally he'll get a little Bermuda because I did an allergy panel on him and I know he's not allergic, so I feel okay giving it to him. There's a look at Kai eating some Bermuda there. Don't worry, we're going to give him a little alfalfa treat right now. He loves alfalfa. I try not to give him too much because it can make his stomach hurt a little bit. So I'm just giving him a little bit of a flake, and he gets 1 flake every day regardless, sometimes 2, and he gets all the Bermuda he could ever want. And now I'm going to throw Dakota 2 big flakes of alfalfa along with the 1 flake he already had on the ground that we just put there, and along with his hay bag that is now full of alfalfa as well. And he was super excited, ready to eat that, and we are going to head back to Chester's barn tonight. Okay, we are back at Chester's and Zorro's barn. So we're going to make Chester's hay net for the night and get Chester's blanket on. I already put Zorro's blanket on off camera, and then that'll be the last thing we do. He can stick his head out and eat some of those.
Hey, Will, can I get your blankie on?
got its head. He said, hurry up, girl. Tell her.
Oh, now you got Chester talking.
Hey, Doro. Mm-hmm.
I still don't feel like anybody knows how to tie these things.
Yeah.
Like there's not one way that you're supposed to. Okay, good. Now that we have Chester's hay net made for the night, I'm going to get it hung up, and he was super, super excited about it, and I'm going to really pat on him and hug on him and tell him good night. He's going to throw his hay bag all up in the air like he usually does. Right there is actually pretty calm for him. I'm going to make sure I have that stall chain done before I shut his door, and we're going to give Zorro a little snack as well. He also loves alfalfa, so he's going to get a little bit, and he gets quite a bit throughout the day. Just whenever he begs me for it, I throw him some. There's Chester in his blanket, throwing his hay bag around, and we are done for the day. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little day in the life, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye!